Production.
What is poppin', squad? All right, so we're looking at Shopify here, right? So there's a few things I want to break down here on the Shopify stock. We had a major earnings play. If you follow Trader Stewie on Twitter, he's fucking good. I've learned a lot from that guy. So shout out to him. He has a play that he kind of he's known for. It's called the power earnings gap. So anytime there's an earnings play, if you have a big reaction like this, gap up, and it looks exactly like this, right? There's usually a typical play that happens after this, right? So we want to, from here, see how much follow through we get on the stock. Okay, so let's zoom in. We want to see how much follow through. Are we going to rip up to 92? Because that is our next resistance, right? So what could happen is we rip up to 92, but towards that, we want to see how we consolidate to the downside, right? So we notice here that there's this trend line, right? So it's been evident here that if you were to play off this trend line, you would likely have made some money depending on what your play is. But if you're trading, just simply buy off the trend line and then sell at resistance, it's been working for you. Buy at the trend line, sell at resistance. Buy at the trend line, sell at resistance. Buy at the trend line, now we blow above resistance. You could have bought multiple times, right? And sold at resistance, but now we've blown above it. So that's a few different ways you could have looked at it. Here, our next play, we want to see, like, are we going to come back, revisit, kind of fill this gap eventually, take some time to consolidate, potentially retest the trend line, and then continue our way up. If that is the play, then we want to watch how we consolidate. So that will be very important. It's evident now, right? It's been evident, but when we look at this weekly time frame, Shopify at some point, sometime in the future, is going to be at all-time highs again. So now is when you have to decide. You could have been deciding a long time ago, but when you see these indications like this past week, massive candle on 1 week, you need to start thinking about, how am I going to get a piece of this? Am I going to long-term invest in this? Not a bad idea at all. Shopify prior to the split was up at like $2,000, right? So not to say that it's going to go back up to that price again, but the chances that it'll go at some point towards its new all-time high is not, it's almost a guarantee in my opinion. At some point it will happen. So how are you going to play that, right? You could long date options. You could just buy shares, hold, chill, gather, and accumulate. That's always a safe play, right? If you're more into like swing trading, then the next play is, are we going to fill this gap? We have a massive gap here. We want to see how we consolidate into the gap, or if we just kind of trickle downwards towards this lower trend or this resistance point, our previous resistance, back test it as support, and then we rip again, right? So there's a few different plays you could do on that for trades. But that's the breakdown on Shopify. Shopify has been strong. Shopify has been strong. So I have a bunch of videos breaking down Shopify. Check them out, because there's a bunch of good information and a lot of like learning you could do if you're into technical analysis. So check those out. Peace.